Righty, episode two, and we've got to make like somebody who's just moved house because we've got a lot to unpack. We're going to talk about spoilers, so if you don't want to know, off you pop. The episode opens on the castle absolutely panicking over the events of the last episode, the death of Jaehaerys. And Aegon is understandably just furious. He is slashing about everywhere with his sword. And we also see Aemond having a little look through the room that he was in. I presume maybe his chambers. That he was in last episode with Otto and with Kristen looking at the map, and they were using coins as place markers. He notices that the coins are missing and finds one on the floor. But it kind of indicates that, these intruders went through this room. Presumably, they were looking for me. You know, not me, but Aemond. Otto reassures Alicent of the search for the intruders. She is distraught, understandably, and she's also really concerned that this has scarred her daughter, Rhaenyra. And she's also a little bit concerned that this is the gods punishing her for her recent sins, or, well, not so recent. Who knows how long things have been going on with her and Kristen. We then see Aegon holding a small council, and he's got it in for everyone, basically. They kind of just centrally blame Rhaenyra, but he wants war. He wants heads. And Otto urges him to have some restraint. You'll get your war in time. But Larys fortunately walks in and informs him that they've caught one of the intruders. He was trying to escape through the gates of the god, which I like that they've included that, because all of the gates in King's Landing, out into the rest of the realm, they've all got names, and we don't get to hear them very often, and it's just nice to get a bit of book lore in. They've caught one of these people. It's the City Watch guy, and he had the head of the child in a bag trying to smuggle it out. Aegon wants to just go and this guy, he wants to go and see to him, but Otto's like, let's see if we can question him first. Don't shoot first and ask questions later, because it's not going to get us very much. And there was also another intruder. Otto suggests using the child's funeral as an emotional plea to the people and an opportunity to inspire hatred to Rhaenyra, obviously blaming her for the child's death. The Queen, Alicent, the Queen Dowager, Alicent, and the Queen, Rhaenyra, are to be, following in a carriage and to be made a spectacle of. Aegon says that he doesn't want his child dragged through the mud, and Otto persists no, this will be a dignified affair. Alicent tries to talk to Rhaenyra, but Rhaenyra is understandably too grieved to give a damn about what Alicent has to say. She tells her that there's going to be a funeral. The funeral procession begins, and we see a lot of the shots that we saw from the trailers for this season. And then we see Larys going to talk to the killer, killer number 2. And he just spills all Daemon, the money, we'll get half now, half later, the plan, and also the other guy was a rat catcher. Aegon then goes into the cell with a mace, and yeah. Who can blame him? We've got the information. Save a rope, get your anger out. The funeral procession proceeds, and they are shouting out, blaming Rhaenyra for this. The citizens, they are mourning with them. They bow down. I mean, this does appeal to everyone's human nature, the death of a child. Of course it's going to put people to their cause. The carriage gets stuck in a rut, and as the guys are rocking it, you see the body start to go oh my god, it just fills me with anxiety that it's just going to turn into a shambles. As the news gets back to Rhaenyra's camp, she is shocked and saddened by this, and one of her crew suggests that maybe it was her order, and she is like, are you suggesting that I just having lost my son, would go and order the death of somebody else's child, and Rhaenyra, of all people, like, she is pure, she is innocent. She is quite angry at that accusation. Everyone goes round and assumes the blame might come to Rhaenyra and that they must go and say that this is a lie. Rhaenyra, she notices that Daemon is kind of silent, and so they go off and talk in private, which is smart. Don't air your grievances in front of all the people that are already doubting you. Things get quite tense between them. So Rhaenyra questions him, and he is just there like, yeah, I did send someone, but that was not their orders. Oops. He doesn't really initially seem concerned that it went wrong. It's just, well, shit happened. Kind of the same response that Aemond gave. She doesn't believe him, and she says she can't trust him, and quite rightfully says, like, You've been using me over all of these years to grasp at your stolen inheritance. Like, to be fair, he was only interested once she was named heir. He sweeps the table, gets up, and she takes a step back. I mean, I would too. Jesus. Daemon, you've already strangled the girl. Step back. But he's like, I crowned you. When that crown came here, who knelt before you and crowned you? That was me. I've supported you. I am on my way to Harrenhal to go and raise an army for you. But then he says, Viserys only named you as his heir because he was afraid of me. I would have left a better legacy, and he was afraid of that. That's the only reason you've been named. Just spitting fucking insults, really. Cutting ones. They may as well just say, oh my god, you're just like your mother. Which, I'm sorry, I'm like, is that to what? She tells him, Viserys wasn't afraid of you. He just couldn't trust you. Just the same way she can. He's just killed a child. And he's like, well, I guess it was my mistake. He then storms out, ignoring his daughter on the way out as well. And she goes in. Rhaenyra then instructs her to go and keep the patrol that she's previously denied the Jace responsibility for. And it's like, okay, so you're not willing to send out your heir, you know, her son with Harwin Strong, Rhaenyra, but you are willing to send out Daemon's daughter with Rhaenyra. I mean, I know she's not an heir, but damn, you can tell that Rhaenyra is reluctant to do that, but she still does it. I guess they are short on dragon riders. Rhaenyra asks after her father, and Rhaenyra tells her, like, he must follow his own path. Basically, I don't know what the fuck that guy's doing. Just leave him to it. We then see him leaving on Caraxes. Back in King's Landing, Rhaenyra passes Aegon on the steps, and there's a moment where they pause. Obviously, they haven't really grieved together. What a weird relationship. They're brother and sister, forced to marry. They've coupled and had children, but they don't really have a relationship together. And, it's a mess. But I feel sorry for Rhaenyra, who doesn't. Aegon has this pause with her and then just moves on. He can't face it. We then see a really gutting scene where Kristen is standing in the doorway, just getting in the way, but the servants are taking down the crib that is now unused, and it's just heartbreaking. We see Rhaenyra playing with her two youngest children, the ones with Daemon, and she's watching the dust motes, obviously lost in thought, wondering what the fuck he's gonna do. Alicent readies herself for a bath and goes off and questions. Kristen's obviously just outside her door. She goes and questions if he's told anyone. They're both obviously really struggling with their conscience at the moment. She then goes and climbs into her bath. Kristen, however, goes off and decides, like, I'm feeling bad about myself. I'm going to go and pick on another person. So, which is what he's done with Harwin, actually. So he goes off and picks on Sir Eric, who's sat eating, and the bottom of his white cloak, he's a fellow member of the King's Guard, so he's got a white cloak. supposed to be white. It's dirty on the bottom. He's like, it's been a long night. I'm sorry. I'll go and fix it in a minute. Henceforth, gets back to eating, and Kristen's like, no, now, like, you're dishonoring your position. Kristen. Eric goes off to change, but Kristen stops him and questions, where were you on the night that the intruders came in? And Eric, he was in the throne room with the king because that's where he wanted to hang out. Kristen's like, well, why did you not think to go to the bedchambers? Like, what is Eric supposed to do? Go and send the king to bed? I mean, he doesn't say all that, but he does question, why didn't the queen have a designated, guard? Kristen is the captain of the King's Guard. It's his responsibility to dole out those duties. Kristen doesn't like this and kicks off, calling Eric a traitor. He's like, your brother was a traitor. How are you not a traitor as well? The other guards are like, oh shit, things are kicking off. Oh my God, let's just clear the room. And Kristen then says, like, prove your loyalty, prove your honor, go to Dragonstone, pretend to be your brother, who has obviously gone there, disguise yourself as him, get close to Rhaenyra, and kill her. End a war before it even begins. So he accepts the duty. Jace joins Rhaenyra, and they talk about their fathers. She wonders what her father is off doing and asks about his. He is like, Sir Lionel was a good man, he loved us. And she also asks about, like, but what about Sir Harwin Strong? And he's like, yeah, he loved us too, but I miss Luke. Just changes the subject. Is she digging? Is she trying to just be with him, understand him? I don't know. Aemond is off somewhere down in King's Landing at a little, peep show dancing place, and he's in the back room getting comforted by a lady who's quite clearly older than him. He's like, do you know what? Those people, they came to kill me. I'm quite proud that Daemon considers me such a strong foe. Quite fucked up, Aemond, but I guess he does. We now get told that Aemond was actually with this woman the night that the intruders came in. She tries to kiss him, but he refuses, and it's weird for a moment because it's like, okay, so you're okay to be there naked with this woman all cuddled up and seen? Because he's like, oh no, not here. But you don't want to kiss her there? Nah, I guess plausible deniability. Like, yes, I went to these places, but I did not do anything there. Then he also tells her that he is sorry about the child's death, Luke's death. He did not mean for that to happen. And he tells her about the bullying as well from when he was a child. We see a family in King's Landing who is clearly struggling. They've got a sick child. The mum is saying, like, food is really scarce. The dad's like, well, King Aegon will help us. The mum doubts it. We start to get a feel for the desperation of the people within the city. Obviously, there's a blockade going on at the moment, and food is scarce. They're hoping for aid from their king, the reason for this blockade. The dude who saved Corlys, Sir Alan, and Sir Adam of Hull, greet and talk. So we get a bit of an introduction to them. We later see Sir Adam on the beach watching, I don't know if it's a vacant dragon or if that was Moondancer, like Rhaenyra going off on Moondancer. You tell me. But he obviously gets some dragon inspo. Rhaenys and Corlys are abed. It doesn't look like anything funky. It just looks like they're waking up in the morning. And they're worried about what Daemon's going to do. Like, if he goes off, is he going to challenge Rhaenyra's claim? And they kind of agree, like, look, we'll cross that bridge if we come to it, and just hope that he's not. We'll hope that he goes to Harrenhal and does what he's promised to do. We get a really nice scene, well, not a nice scene, but a nice setting for a scene, where Rhaenyra is down in what seems to be a library on Dragonstone. She's looking at the pages for Aegon's conquest, but Mysaria is brought into her, so she questions her, like, what did you tell Daemon? What information have you brought? Are you a traitor? What's going on, basically? And Mysaria says, I gave him names. Yeah, I did profit off of Aegon being crowned, regrettably, but it was inevitable. She says, obviously, she gave Daemon names. That was all. The names of 2 people. Obviously, the 2 people he must have hired. Rhaenyra says, like, well, he's done a disappearing act now. And Mysaria's like, yeah, he is likely to do that. Remember me? And Rhaenyra has a moment of clarity where she recognizes that this is the woman that Daemon stole her brother's dragon egg for. She went to Dragonstone before to retrieve it. Rhaenyra says, like, I'm not going to free you. It's not going to do me any good. Either, like, you'll go off and do this, or you'll betray me in a worse way. And Mysaria says, like, look, I came from nothing. I built up my empire. But Otto and the Hightowers, they destroyed it. Kind of just giving the hint that Rhaenyra will, ally with Mysaria. We go back to King's Landing, and I love the overview shots that we get of King's Landing, just seeing the city. I don't know what it is, I just like it. And we see a woman who is walking the streets. She finds her son amongst many people who have been hung. Turns out they're rat catchers. The actual rat catcher that did the killing is amongst them, and his dog is sat there just whining at him. Bless. Yeah. So people are unhappy. All of the rat catchers from the Red Keep have been killed. These are sons and brothers and fathers. A lot of them did nothing wrong. Otto, who has just worked his little ploy with the funeral to get the people on his side, or on their side, is absolutely fucking furious with Aegon. What have you done going killing all these people? We've just got them on our side. Now they hate us. Aegon doesn't care about who's swearing fealty. He wants to spill blood, not ink. And I tell you, I love Rhys Ifans in this scene. He does a great job, honestly. He's fantastic. Aegon tells Otto to remove his hand of the kingpin and go and give it to Kristen. Otto's like, kid, you're making a mistake. He chucks it to Kristen's feet. Aegon talks up about how loyal Kristen is, and obviously that he's just done his little plot of sending Sir Aric over to kill Rhaenyra. Jeez. Even as Otto is leaving, the king, Aegon is like, you're dismissed. He's just got to have the last word. He is king, so I guess so. Rhaenyra frees Mysaria and grants her passage to anywhere she wants to go. You've got a ship. Aric gets past his first ID check and swaps places with a guard who is on duty outside Rhaenyra's chambers. He then goes in and draws his sword. Just as he draws his sword and goes to lunge towards Rhaenyra, somehow twin telepathy is jingling and Aric comes in and saves the day, basically, just in the nick of time. Rhaenyra, as they're fighting, Rhaenyra sends her maid out to go and get Sir Lauren, another member of her Queen's Guard. He comes in and tries to escort Rhaenyra out. They watch the fight, and it's like, Sir Lauren is stood there like, which one is Sir Aric? Is like, which one do I shoot? Which one do I shoot? And Aric is like, remember my birthday? No, not really. It's not that scene from Family Guy. They fight. One kills the other and then falls on his sword. Otto then goes and rants to Alicent about his second sacking in the same job role. She's like, look, Aegon is still malleable. Just have faith. Hold on a moment, Daddy. Stay there. But Otto's like, do you know what? You've got another son. Out of nowhere, they suddenly bring up the other son, Daron, who is in Old Town. It's the seat of the High Towers. He's obviously studying. Alicent's like, don't go to Old Town. Go to High Garden. Deal with their loyalty issue, and hopefully Aegon will calm down, see the errors of his ways. He'll want you back. And she also tries to confess her sins to her dad, but he just turns a deaf ear. He doesn't want to hear it. He's like, whatever. Honestly, he's like, Alicent, whatever you've done, it can't be that bad. You know? Nobody's... Well, people are dead. She then visits a crying and really broken Aegon and just leaves him to it. Kristen Cole is waiting in her chambers. She's like, he's there to get down. She slaps him because she's obviously angry that, they're sinning. But then they have angry sin sex. End of episode. I thought it was quite a lot happening in that episode. I did really enjoy it. I felt like we got more scenes like that I was expecting to see them in the episode prior. So I'm quite a happy little chappy there. What did you make of it? Got any notes? Do you want to do a Q&A for another video? Let me know. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Turn on the notification bell, and I'll see you next time. Have a good day. Cheerio!